Hello everybody, this is Zoe from No Safer Place, and today I am here with a video that no one really asked for, but I just got thinking about it, and I've just finished watching To All the Boys I've Loved Before, Always and Forever, the third one in the series, and it just got me thinking of all the boys and girls that I have loved before, and I just thought I would do a video on it. I have been happily married now since 2016, so this is our 5th year of marriage. And when me and my husband first got together, I kind of felt like I hadn't really had any experience with anyone, like I'd never really been in a real serious relationship. But now looking back and kind of reminiscing on everything that ever happened, yeah, there's been a few stories. So let's get chatting. I feel like the first kind of experience that I had was on holiday. So I used to go on holiday a lot, at least several times a year, and every time I went away I seemed to have some kind of holiday romance. And this started when I was like 14. I'm just going to refer to this person and anyone that I mention by the initial of their first name, because I am still very good friends with a few of them, and I'm also not very good with some of them, so yeah, I'm just going to keep it anonymous. So I met D when I was 14 on holiday. He was amazing, I really liked him. We actually still talk now. Nothing really came of that romance. He lived really far away. Everything seemed so much more exciting when you're on holiday. We didn't even kiss or anything like that. We stayed in contact every time that we weren't with anyone. So yeah, that one was quite nice. And then a few months later I went on holiday again and met another person who we will call A. We kissed. That was my first actual kiss at age 14. It was awkward. What's even funnier about this is I had liked him for a few days on holiday. He was actually staying a few rooms down from us because me and my mum had seen him going in and out with his dad a few times. My mum convinced me that it would be a good idea for us to write him a note and slip it under his door. And looking back, I feel like I was a complete stalker, and he probably thought, what the actual hell, how does she know where I'm staying? Yeah, we did that. We told him a time and a place, and he met me there and we kissed, and he then tried to speak to me when I got home, and I didn't like him and I just completely ignored him. So yeah, that was really awkward. Also around this time I started dating a boy online called E. If you were familiar with me when I was massively involved in the Hunger Games fandom, you may remember this person very well because I was openly in love with him. I spoke constantly about how gorgeous he was and how amazing he was. He was also a massive Hunger Games fan, so we would like role play as the characters as well on different accounts, and yeah, it was blissful until he actually got a girlfriend in real life and blocked me. And a few years ago I tried to add him on Facebook just for the memories, and he declined, so that wasn't a very successful one. Did I mention that he also lived in Sweden? So I feel like that was always destined to fail. The first kind of boy that I was in love with, looking back I wasn't in love with him, but at the time I was besotted. He was in the year below me at school. I was in year 11, he was in year 10. And I had liked him for months, so long. I was obsessed with him. He didn't know who I was. I didn't even know his name, but I used to like look at him at lunch times and just fawn over him. And then one day I found out his name. We will call him S. I found him on Facebook and I sent him a message saying, I like your hat, with a winky face. And his profile picture at the time was him in like this fur hat, and I was just in love. We actually ended up seeing each other for a good few months. He was the first person that I had any kind of sexual relationship with, and he was very, very forward. We kind of like drifted apart, but I was still in love with him. And 6 months later I messaged him again and said I would really love to see you. We saw each other for the first time again, and it was just like nothing had changed. And I stupidly was 17 at the time and told him that, oh, I haven't been able to even kiss anyone for the past 6 months because I just missed you so much and I missed what we had, blah 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 blah. And he told me that he had lived with another girl for a few months and had slept with 5 different people. And I was like, wow, I feel like such an idiot. Like, it was me thinking that you were in love with me and that's why you were here. But yeah, it turns out that was just a little hookup that he wanted, and nothing really came from that. But yeah, even now I look at him and I do have good memories with him, even though he blocked me on Facebook a few months ago for absolutely no reason. So I don't know, men are just weird. We were actually going to sleep together, me and this S guy, and it was around the time that I had just been diagnosed with all of my heart problems, and he was just super scared that something was going to happen and it would set my chest off and I'd end up in hospital and we'd have to explain the whole situation. So yeah, I look back and that was actually kind of cute, but who knows. So then when I was around 18, I went out to a club for the first time legally, and I met a guy at this club. This was the first time I'd officially been out clubbing, and I met this gorgeous guy. I do not remember his name, but I do remember that we left and he offered to buy me a kebab, which was in the kebab shop opposite, and I was drunk and I just thought, I'm in love with this guy. He offered to take me back to his house in his limo, like he legitimately had a limo. And my friends were like, Zoe, you are not going back with him. But I was like, he's just bought me a kebab, like he's got a limo, what could possibly go wrong there? So my friends dragged me away from him and with my kebab, and I walked home barefooted, literally almost crying at the fact that I hadn't gone home with this guy whose name I don't remember, but I do think I have a picture of him on my phone somewhere, which obviously I can't show because he'll think I'm some crazy person. Around that time I went to college. Now this is where it gets a little bit deeper, because it was around that time that I started to realise that I had been having feelings for women, and I wanted to kind of pursue that and see if being in a relationship with a woman was something that I wanted. I wanted to know what it was like. But I'd only started to have those feelings. I don't really feel like at that point I was brave enough to pursue them. But I started college, and on my very first day when we went for our induction, I saw the most beautiful woman. Like, she was gorgeous. A woman, she was like 17, 18, so I guess she was a girl as well. But we started messaging, and after a few days she said to me, I don't mean to be forward, but are you into women? I feel like you might be into women and I am as well. And I was just amazed. I couldn't believe that someone had acknowledged the fact and seen the fact that I was into women. I was just absolutely bamboozled. And especially the fact that she was interested in me. I literally couldn't believe it. So I went to stay at this girl's house and it was just perfection. We didn't really do anything apart from touching and kissing, but it was amazing, and we kind of called each other's girlfriends, and I was happy, but I still wasn't at that part of my life where I was ready to explain to people that I was bisexual, that I was in a relationship with a woman. And looking back, I know that wasn't very fair of me, which is why I chose to end the relationship with her, because I didn't want her to feel like I was ashamed of her, because I wasn't. I just hadn't quite processed it in my head yet. We split up, and she was the only person that knew that I was bisexual. And she went into college a few weeks later and told everyone in our class that I had done way more than we had done sexually, and told everyone that I was bisexual. And it hurt, because not only did I trust her, but that was my story to tell. And I was almost coming to grips with that and almost ready to share it with the world, and for someone to take that away from you, someone that you actually did really like but was just too scared for at that moment in time, yeah, that one hurt. And although we are still friends on Facebook and I do still have all our photos and I look back on them and think what an amazing girl she was, it just feels all a bit tarnished that she spread all of those rumours because I broke up with her. But yeah, that was my one and only experience with a woman, apart from like kissing people on nights out and things like that. That was kind of my only real relationship with a woman. Also, when I was in college, this, looking back now, is just wild. I really liked this guy called M. I had seen him around college a few times. He'd added me on Facebook and Twitter, and we just got talking. And after hours and hours and weeks of conversation, I had convinced myself that I was in love with this guy. If I showed any kind of interest in any other guy, he wouldn't want me near them. He would essentially gaslight me into not doing anything with anyone else, but he didn't want me either. Let me tell you this, we didn't even ever meet up. So there was nothing ever even remotely serious about what we were doing. But for me, I felt like he kind of owned me, and whatever he said, I did. And I look back now and think, why did I let him have that kind of control over me? Like, that is crazy. Another person in college, I mean, I feel like I got around a bit in college. This one is very, very random. I got the bus to college every day, and I once saw this guy at the bus stop and I was like, he is beautiful. I'm gonna find him on Facebook and ask him out. Like, I was really that bold. I really had that much confidence in myself that I could do it. Didn't know his name, just knew what he looked like. I found him. My FBI skills are amazing. And I asked him out and he said yes, and we actually dated for about 6 months. He came to a lot of family events with me. He planned us picnics. He took me on the most amazing dates. He was so lovely. But I feel like he was just a little bit too lovely. When I broke up with him because things had kind of just got boring, he cried down the phone and I couldn't deal with it. I rang my best friend crying and saying, what do I do? He's literally crying. And she was like, it's best for you to just break up with him. You don't care for him like you used to, which was true. But yeah, that's like one of the only times I've broken up with someone and felt like sadness and regret. Another person that I felt like that with was this guy called D. He was actually the last person that I dated-ish before I found my husband. Actually, I saw this guy a few hours before I met my husband for the first time. That is how close I came to not being with my husband. This guy called D, I can't even remember how I met him. I feel like it was a family wedding or something like that. And he was the sweetest person I have ever met. He used to write me poetry and frame it. He used to draw pictures of me and give them to me. That's actually what he was doing the day that I met my husband. He came around my house and dropped off a portrait of me that he had drawn. He was so patient. He just took so much time with me, but I just kept saying, I don't feel like I'm ready for a relationship, and neither was he. He was saying the same thing. And it was then that I met my husband and realised it wasn't that I wasn't ready for a relationship, I just hadn't found the right person. But he was the closest that I'd ever come to a real boyfriend before I met my husband. And yeah, I do actually feel sadness thinking about that person, because he really was one of the loveliest people you could have ever met. And he ticked all the boxes and did all the right things, but just sometimes it doesn't work out. There was another guy, a guy that I wasn't going to put in here because it's a little bit embarrassing. I met this guy at one of my friend's parties. We'll call him B. I was drunk, we'd kissed by the end of the night. I thought he was amazing. Sorry about that, my camera decided to die on me at the most perfect opportunity. Yeah, as I was saying, I met B at a friend's party. We had kissed, and once again I thought I was completely in love. And my family went away on holiday and I was left on my own, and I decided to have a party with him, a few of his friends and a few of my friends. And I was convinced that I was going to finally lose my virginity that night. I was 19 at the time and I was like, yes, this is it. I'm going to do it tonight. And he knew this plan as well, and he got absolutely wasted. And I said to my friends, like, we're gonna go upstairs. If things happen, I am gonna tweet a love heart, just a single love heart if the deed has been done. This is why I'm never sure whether to count him as my first or not, because it happened, but it was over in 2 seconds, if that. It's kind of like, you know, the films that you see as a joke when like things just start happening and then just as it's like starting, it's already over and you're like, oh, was that it? And at the time, because I'd never done it before, I was like, maybe that's it. Maybe it's meant to be over in seconds and it's just god awful. After that, he kind of stopped speaking to me. I'm assuming maybe because he was embarrassed, or maybe because he thought, oh, I've done this now and I can just push her aside kind of thing. But he dumped me shortly after that, and I just remember laying on the bottom of my stairs listening to Taylor Swift and Demi Lovato and sobbing my heart out. Genuinely thought I loved this guy and that I was heartbroken, but looking back, he was just an arsehole who just didn't know how to do things and didn't know how to please anyone but himself. When I talk about how many people I've slept with, I count him as a half because he definitely cannot be counted as a whole. But I feel like he deserves at least something. And then after that, I met my husband and it was amazing, and it was love at first sight, and we've been together ever since May 2014. And no, it hasn't been perfect, but I couldn't love him anymore, and yeah, it's amazing. There was a few people in between that were just like random and funny. Like, what I find really odd is I don't speak to my biological dad anymore, but when I used to, he used to work at Spurs training ground, and I used to go to a lot of football matches with him, so I was really familiar with a lot of his friends there, and loads of them used to hit on me. Like, they'd known me since I was like really young, and then as soon as I hit 17, 18, they started messaging me and creeping into my DMs and asking me for inappropriate things, and it's like, I'm your best friend's daughter. That's disgusting. I'm not going to call any of them out, but I deleted them all off Facebook, and now I don't have to see them because I don't speak to my dad anymore, so thank God for that. Another funny story which I thought I would talk about, it wasn't really a big thing, but I was 17 at the time, so I was not of age, and I met this guy. He was really nice and we just got chatting and had a few drinks, and he brought one of his friends over who I thought was so much better, so I got speaking to his friend instead, and we exchanged numbers. And that night he was like, oh, you're so beautiful, please send me pictures, please send me pictures. He was like, I'll send you some back, da 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 da. So bear in mind I'm 17 at this point, like I am not legally of age to be doing this. We exchanged photos. He was of age, let me just say, and it was the first time I'd ever done anything like that, so I was like really insecure and wasn't sure how to do it best. I didn't have a great phone either, so I did that. The next day he messaged me and said, I'm back with my ex, like last night was nothing. And I feel like I have a lot of stories like that about guys who seem so interested, and then you give them something that they want and they're like, bye. And that's it really. I have quite a few stories like that of just random people and random things occurring, but there's not many stories of actual relationships because I wasn't really a relationship person before I met my husband, and neither was he. I mean, he was much worse than me. He had a very little experience with women. He didn't even know when the right time to kiss me was, so I just take the lead most of the time. Yeah, is there anything you want to say to anyone that you thought you loved or you did love and now you don't speak to them anymore? This is the space to share it. There is no judgment here, none at all. I don't care if you've slept with 0 people or 1,000. No judgment here. Let me know. I want to know all the boys or girls you've loved before. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like, comment, subscribe, all that usual good stuff. Also, you can turn the notification bell on to be notified when I upload new videos, which is usually every Tuesday and every Saturday. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. Let me know what you'd like to see more of on my channel, and I hope to see you all again soon. Thank you. Bye.